I solemnly swear that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Hi everybody, Ron here from The Truth About Addiction. Today I have a really special guest, a family friend from many, many years, and I believe just a really good human being, a good champion of a guy, and Mr. Johnny Lewis. Welcome to The Truth About Addiction, mate.
Lovely to be here with you, Ron.
Mate, you know, a lot of people know Johnny Lewis, the fighter, the fight trainer. To me, I believe he's humanitarian. I think there's a lot more to Johnny Lewis than what a lot of people actually see. And I've known you a long time. You know, my family's known you how many years?
Squillion.
Squillion, yeah, you know, I mean, my whole life, you know, you've been a name. Something I say, and I say to everybody I meet, I've never heard anyone bag you. You know, I don't know if you kill them and bury them somewhere, and then, but I've never heard anyone bag you, mate. I really haven't.
They're out there, mate, you know, but we, you know, it's all about looking yourself in the mirror, and if you can do that, well, that's, you know, it's, I only know good people, so.
Yeah. No, my whole life, your name has been synonymous in my family, in the boxing industry. When I moved to Sydney in the 70s, it's funny, we were at Erskineville Oval where John grew up, and I used to come to Urco with a bloke called Terry Ball. And did you train Terry for a while?
Yeah, I had him for a couple of fights, and grew up school with Terry.
Yeah.
Played football with him, good little footballer too, and yeah, I miss him.
Yeah. He was a hard little bugger.
Oh, very hard, very hard.
As we spoke about before, he'd never liked to train.
No, his discipline let him down a little bit, but you know, it's. I was very, very proud of my relationship with Terry, and a great guy.
Yeah, I found him to be a good bloke too. That's just me personally, and we only talk about people as we find them.
Yep.
But him and we'd get on the drink together, and then he'd say, let's go up the gym, because we had keys to the gym on top of the dry cleaners. He'd say, "Go on, let's go up and do some sparring." We'd get up there half shot each, you know, and get up there and spar, and you know, fat lips and black eyes, and have a great time, you know. Because to me, the boxing industry when I was a kid was about having a good time. I was trying to get a quid.
Yeah. And you mentioned that gym. That was Snowy Robbins' gym, and it was. It was not only a boxing gym, it was served as an SP bookmaking place, and on the Sunday night they played the Swy there, and it was a great thing for the community, you know. Like I don't want to say it was wrong and all that sort of thing, but the people in Erskineville, they loved it.
As you said, you know, Erskineville those days was a lot different to Erskineville these days, John.
Very, very different. I look back and we look around here, and it's such a beautiful place, Erskineville Oval and the park outside. I feel honoured to be one who lived in here all my life.
Yeah, and you know, as we said before, we're sitting at the Urco Oval, and you grew up in the Housing Commission across the road, and there you live a couple of 100 metres from there, basically in your own place, you know? Yeah,
I don't stray too far from old Erskineville, and the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And, yeah, exactly.
Wonderful childhood. Been very fortunate, and I don't know if where I've gone in life would have happened if I lived outside of Erskineville, so yeah, I love it and always will.
Just a quick thing on about how far you would have gone in life. To me, I was blessed to know Ambrose Palmer, who I think before you was the greatest trainer I had ever met. He used to laugh and he'd say to me, "The art of boxing is to hit and not be hit, son." He'd say, "I don't want you tough and being brain dead." He used to say to me all the time, because I was lucky enough to train in the same time as Famo was training.
Yeah.
And Famo used to spar with me. I was a little kid, and Famo used to turn me and smack me on the arse, and I'd lose my temper. And Famo would say, "You don't win fights with a bad temper." settle down, chin down, hands up. He'd do it to me all the time. He'd just grab me by the elbow and just turn me and smack me on the bum, you know. And I said, don't hit mate, you know, because, you know, those days men didn't get smacked on the bum, you know. Men didn't cry, men didn't talk about how they felt, and I think we lacked a lot, but we also had a different mindset in the 70s of what our concept of what a man was, you know. And today, I heard Wayne Bennett say it, who I think is a pretty good judge of men, and he's a pretty good bloody coach of men.
Yeah, of course.
He can bring the best out of him. He said, today's youth is not resilient enough, and they're not strong enough. You know, they don't have that. But we had to fight to eat. How much did you make? Remember when you first pro fights? What you got for a fight?
Look, I never fought as a pro.
Okay, yeah, never did I.
But I remember going to a meeting, and the television, the stadiums had gone, and television was coming in, and they had a meeting one night at one of the gyms, and they came up that they would get $4 a round. So if you fought a 4-rounder, you got 16. If you fought a 6-rounder, you got $24. You know? And everyone thought that was absolutely tremendous. And now you look at some of the fighters, particularly overseas, the money they're getting, it's unbelievable. But it should be good to them because it's a hard sport, and they're never ever overpaid.
Yeah, 100%, and it's a short-term lifespan.
Yeah.
And I remember the old man, he fought, it must have been around about 1962 or something. He had a broken hand, and the promoter rang him and said, the bloke's pulled out. Do you want to fight the main event? We'll give you, I think it was 20 quid. And he cut the plaster off his hand and went to Festival Hall and fought. You know, just cut the plaster off his hand and went down and fought and come home with a big trophy and 20 quid. You know, that was like, that was a massive thing. You know, it was like...
Would have charged him another $5 to put the plaster back on. But, you know, they were fighters, you know, and like this blokes today, their managers, they get them good fights, and you know, we just went through a little period there where we had a young bloke that, in his own words, he wanted to be the best ever, but he knocked back 4 fights in a row. Yeah. And, well, that's not the path to greatness. It's,
no one, you know, good fighters didn't knock back a fight ever.
Never.
Never.
If you did, you wouldn't get a chance again. Yeah. Stadiums would wipe you.
Yeah, as you said, you know, Norm Foster was the promoter in Melbourne when I was a kid. Yeah. I can't believe I can remember this stuff.
I remember Norm,
it's nearly 55 years ago. You know, so I was...
He was good because he was an ex-boxer himself, and his matchmaking was pretty good.
Yeah. Well, we had a bloke called Arthur Pearson. He fought Leo Young. He was the first guy to ever knock Leo Young down. There was another young kid in my old man's gym. His name was Ronnie Taylor. He never went anywhere. Ended up by being an armed robber. And geez, he could box, little southpaw.
Yeah.
And he was sparring with Famo after Famo won the British Empire title. This is a really funny story. And he said to Johnny, "I don't leave with your right hand, John, it's too easy to make you miss." This kid was fighting 4-rounders. You know, he said to me, I went, "Don't ever speak like that again, you know." Yeah, he said, "I don't leave with your right hand, Johnny, it's too easy to make you miss." Talking to the British Empire champion, getting ready to go and fighting a Arara for the world title.
You mentioned before about Ambrose. There's 2 guys that he trained that I remember was there's another bloke he fought, was it Paul Ferrari?
Paul Ferrari, good little boxer. He came in after Famo,
After Famo, but he also had that policy of not being hit.
Yep.
And he fought a great Mexican and got beat, I think, in the last round with a cut eye.
Yep.
And but you know, he was unmarked, and we look at Famo and we hear about the good defence of young Mayweather, but Ambrose taught his fighters the same thing: don't get hit.
It was the whole philosophy of that gym was to hit and not be hit. And you say, I can't remember the percentage, so much percentage was ability, and the rest was fitness. You had to be fit.
Oh,
you had to be fit.
It's plays a big part.
Yeah.
I remember, I look back and Jack Gibson used to say, you only take out what you put in.
Yep.
And it makes me realise that statement, why Jeff Fenwick was so good, what he put in.
Yeah.
Mentally and physically, I don't think there's been anyone alive that could do that under the stress and whatever. He never let himself down in that area.
I think Jeff Fenwick, in my eyes, was the fittest fighter I'd ever seen in my life. I was lucky enough to come with you to Vegas when he fought Azuma Nelson the first time.
Yeah.
And I haven't told you this story. I never told you this story. I was sitting ringside. It was a pretty shitty weekend because he got robbed.
Yeah.
And I was sitting ringside and I wear a medallion around my neck with a big gold symbol on it. It's for a special club. And it's because, you know, I'm drug free and it was for this club is for people that don't take drugs.
Yeah.
And I was sitting, it was out in the open.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there and there was this, you know, the big men, and he had 2 or 3 bodyguards with him. And he said to me, in the, you know, hey, nice chain there, boy. And I turned around and I had this little medallion on, you know, it's about as big as a 50-cent piece, full of diamonds. And I said, oh, thanks. And he was recognising my symbol.
Yeah.
And he had the same symbol around his neck, the size of a fucking jam can, you know, like full of rubies and diamonds and that. And he said, are you from Aussie? And I said, yeah, I am. And he said, your boy can't win. And me being me, I said, he'll smack his ass. And he said, no, you're not listening, son. Your boy can't win. He said, Don King's boys are in there backing for the draw. I've never told you that. Yeah, that's just on Mum's grave. And I went, oh yeah, good on you, you know, because we were just bantering, having a, and then Jeff, I just remember Jeff having him in the corner and not letting me out of the corner and just the fitness and the stamina and the determination.
Yeah.
And
in the late rounds, mate.
Yes,
the last
mate.
2, like, you know, he just
had him in that corner,
stopped,
never moved, just kept on throwing him. And Azuma had nothing, had nothing. But the thing that killed me the most, the decision was heartbreaking. But the next morning when we were sitting beside the pool and Jeff had both his hands in ice, people don't see that. People don't see that. And his wife was feeding him.
I tell you what, it's we go back to when Jeff was fighting to go to the Olympics in '84. It was the same procedure, ice after the fight, both hands.
Yeah, because I didn't realise how bad his hands were till that day. We were sitting there and Jeff had tears in his eyes, his hands were so broken, and his missus was feeding him, and I was thinking, oh my God, you know, it's just not, and to get robbed. I think the devastation, and this is just me, Jeff was never the same after that fight.
I always say the same.
Yeah, I don't believe he was,
They broke
mate.
his spirit.
Yeah, I think because Jeff, you know, we all know Jeff was a larrikin and a funny bugger and all that, but he was really sincere and really genuine, and he gave 110%. And I think that day he actually got shafted. Morally, spiritually and physically got shafted. And I said to people, you know, the Jeff Fenwick I watched fight that day, no one was going to beat him. You could have put anyone in the ring with him that day. He was going to get beat, you know. His mindset and his determination. And I love Jeff. You know, I'm not close to Jeff, but every time I see him, he's really respectful and he's really nice.
Jeff's a giving person.
Yeah.
Very giving.
Yeah.
If you're in the gym with Jeff, sponsored by a shoes company, and he made sure that everyone in the gym got a pair of shoes.
Yeah. He's got a big heart.
Yeah, clothing.
He probably got that from someone who trained him.
Oh no,
No, you probably got that. Your relationship was a bit like a father and son relationship.
Oh, but it's something that I've, you know, on the last chapter of life. But he played a big part in my life, a real big part, and a good part.
As I said, you know, like there's certain parts of my life that I think about, and I always remember when we went to Vegas, and every time I'd bump you, it wouldn't matter where. I mightn't see you for 3 or 4 years, and I'd bump you at an airport somewhere, and it'd always be, hello mate, how are you, son? You're always open to the public, to the people.
We're family, mate.
Yeah, I know we're family, but you're like this with everybody, John.
Yeah. Oh well.
It's a beautiful trait.
It's better than being miserable, isn't it?
Oh mate, I haven't got time for that, eh?
No.
You know, I said to my wife this morning, you know, because this podcast is something special because it helps people who are in active addiction. I believe you're addicted to helping people. I believe you've gone without over the years to give. You know, and not in a bad way. That's a good addiction.
Yeah, you know, it's, as I say, I had a couple of uncles that unfortunately were in them days alcoholics, and one of them in particular was 17 years of age and a stretcher bearing in the Second World War, and you know, when he came back, we didn't know what to do, you know, and subsequently he was homeless for a long, long time, and we'd find out that he was sleeping in the park at Central. Then we'd find out that he was in some joint at Orange, and very, very hard. So I'm always, you know, it was a terrible thing that caused his fall down in life, but you know, everyone, there's a story behind everyone when they're going good and when they're not going so good. But if we can help them, we help them.
And people have got to understand that, you know, because someone's got an addiction or an alcoholic, see, to me it's all the same thing. It doesn't mean they're a bad person.
Not at all.
Good people do bad things, and especially if you have an affliction or a drug addiction or an alcoholism where you're not thinking straight, you know, so they make mistakes. I asked V this morning, I said, if I gave you $100 million today, but there's one catch, she said, what's that? I said, you can't wake up tomorrow. Would you take the $100 million? She said, no. I said, so every morning we wake up, it's worth more than $100 million.
That's right.
And she started laughing. She said, yeah. But it's true.
But it's an addiction's an illness.
100%.
And it's got to be looked that way. You know,
it's got to be treated.
As I said, imagine 17 years of age and signed up, changed his age just to go out there, and they knew he was young and he was stretcher bearing, and God.
What he would have seen, the trauma is unbelievable.
Oh, mate, I remember once in a dressing room and the bloke was getting his eye stitched, and there was a big bloke in the dressing room, and the doctor said to him, can you just hold his head? And he was holding his head, and next thing the big fella's gone down, passed out, like a bloke getting 3 stitches in his eye. So when you're out there and running backwards and forwards, not knowing if you're going to come back the next time or whatever, and bombs and bullets going everywhere, and picking up blokes with arms off and legs off, and you know, it's a big ask.
It's horrific. And you know, like, people don't understand that the disease of addiction, to me, it's hereditary. It gets passed on, the trauma gets passed on through generations, because now if I'm an alcoholic, I'm going to treat my wife and children bad. And my wife and children, they start to understand that that's how you treat other children. You know, that's my children. And part of my belief, what's happened to me was because I was a drug addict, and I was a big drinker before I took the drugs, was to break that cycle. You know, I have 40-year-old twin daughters now that, you know, one's a nurse and one's a nanny, and they've got beautiful children of their own, and hopefully that we've broken that cycle, we've broken that generational trauma.
But you were able to do that, you know, as I say, others before you, the sickness prevented that, you know. And
I had to train hard, but John.
Well,
that's the truth.
As I say, nothing comes easy.
And I believe, and I say it all the time, with pain comes growth. You know, I got a 7-year-old boy who was massaging his feet and his leg last night because he's growing. And I said, you've got to get the pain to grow. And it's the truth. And nothing comes easy in this world. I don't.
Mate, if it comes easy, you don't appreciate it.
And that's another thing too. In my program that I treat people, I try to treat a lot of people for nothing. My mates, none of them stayed clean. Then when I started charging them, they started staying clean. And they were like, you know, but I'm your mate. And I said, yeah, but when I give it to you, you don't respect it. You don't appreciate it. You don't, you know, you don't care. Easy come, easy go. And I remember my old man saying that to me, you know, easy come, easy go.
Still, we use that phrase today.
There's a lot of talented fighters that never went anywhere.
More that never than did, realistically. You know, take it for granted sometimes, you know.
Yeah,
Gift
it's
of God,
sad.
really, isn't it, you know.
It's sad because we had a bloke, Dad had a bloke when I was a kid in the gym, world beater, unbelievable, no one could get near him. But as soon as you put him in the ring, he couldn't fight.
Yeah.
Just froze and, you know, so people don't understand that, you know, the fight game especially has been a game where it's as much mental as it is physical.
More.
You know, yeah. You know, that's what as I said, we touch on Peter Matreski because I like Pete. You know, he's on my own personal stuff, and it is my podcast, so I can. You know, Peter Matreski was like a really good kid to you too, wasn't he? He was very loyal, very loving, very, you know. But most of your fighters were.
Mate, I always link Peter and Jeff. They were so close together, and you know, they both had the same traits, as loyal as the day's long. And Peter was, you know, he 3 times Australian champion, and you know, there's a lot of good fighters that would have liked to have won it once.
Yes.
But Peter done it in the 3 weight divisions, and he did fight a draw with the world champion, as you mentioned earlier, Manny Melchor from the Philippines.
Yep.
But he, well, Peter's always in my heart as well.
Yeah, that was a good crew. That crew,
Very good crew.
that the 80s, was a really good crew, guys.
A great time in my life. You know.
I remember Jeff coming from like a little young kid. You know, he got his car, and then they got in the number plate champ.
Yeah,
remember that?
Right, yeah.
Who bought the public and buy that for him or something? I forget now. Yeah.
I think his mate Joe Aquilina, who had a used car.
That's it.
I could be wrong on that, but
I remember he had the Commodore with the champ on the plate, and
I linked Joe up to that.
Yeah, he was a good bloke. Yeah, he's a good bloke too. You know, but you know, there was a whole era at that stage where we had some good fighters in Australia.
Very good.
And you were behind most of them.
Yeah. Lester was good.
Lester was good, tough.
Young Graham Brooks. He looked like he was going to be a real good one. And Troy Waters. I always liked Troy.
Yeah.
Then, you know, like young Shannon Taylor came, and
yes, mate. Yeah, Shannon was a good kid.
Spike Shaney. Yeah, we had some good ones.
Hitman.
Oh, of course.
Young Jeff.
Yeah. Jeff with his got his courage and his ability to take the shots. Tough, mentally and physically.
Yeah, hard. But as you said, there was a whole bunch of them. I remember I went and watched Shannon fight, I think at Newcastle. I'm not sure it was Newcastle a while ago. We went down and watched him fight, and we presented him a car. His promoter bought a car off us, a little BMW, and we took the car down for him to pick it up, you know, after the fight, and he'd won the fight, and he got out to his car. And I love seeing young fellas. Yeah. You know?
Shannon, if you're privy to get it, it's on YouTube or something, where he fought, I think it was in the Philippines, in the amateurs, he fought Costa Azul. The decision could have gone either way.
Oh, really?
Oh,
okay.
Mate, Shannon was good.
Yeah.
Shannon was good.
Very quick, he's a good little fighter.
I would have liked to see him use his left a little bit more, but he had an amazing jab. He sort of knew that he was punching above the norm, and he didn't want to set it up. He wanted to do it quickly. Like,
impatient.
Impatient.
Trying to get the job done too quick.
Good boy. Good boy.
There's a signal. So what are you doing now, mate? What's your days look like today? You still helping people, training people? And
I like to do it, and we go over and spend a bit of time over at the Bondi Boxing Gym with Tony Del Vecchio, and I've got a girl that I train, Ella Boot. I honestly believe that Ella's got what it takes to get to the top. A beautiful young girl, and my God, she can fight. Yeah, you wouldn't think so, talking to her and looking at her, but I don't know if you've seen her.
No, I haven't, mate.
Mate, she is one heck of a fighter.
I'll check it out. I'll check her out.
Yeah. You'll be surprised. She spars the boys.
Yeah, that's nice. I like it.
And she's a girl, mate, a little girl.
I've seen a couple of the girl fights, and they can actually fight.
Oh,
they can fight.
Mate, we look in this country of ours, and they're playing rugby league, rugby union, soccer, basketball. They are definitely better than the men at the moment.
Mate, some of the rugby league that I've watched with the girls, they hit hard, and they tackle properly because they can be taught. They're not full of ego.
Well, I remember last year there was a game of AFL with the girls down in Melbourne, and a girl took a mark on the 50 metres semicircle, and she went back, and I thought, she's having herself on. She was getting ready to put it all, like, stay over there, I'm going for the goals, and I'll tell you what, it went straight through. Oh, mate, I thought to myself, gee whiz.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
There's first graders that can't do that.
Yeah. Talking about AFL, I had the privilege last weekend of going down to Melbourne. I've been helping a young kid who was only 17 years of age. He'd been addicted to ice for 4 years. He was on the street. His family thought it was over. His old man was an AFL trainer, played AFL, top grade. And he's coming up to a year clean. And he played his first game last week, and they flew me down there to present his jumper for his first game. It was so emotional. I teared up in front of the whole football team. I don't care, mate,
Wonderful.
I believe men cry. I believe we, of course we cry.
I'm a sook.
Yeah, I'm a sook, And I'm a sook when things are good.
Yeah.
Usually if things are bad, I won't cry, but if things are good, I get emotional really quickly.
I've got to say, mate, I watch a movie and I cry. So.
Yeah, I get choked up and can't talk.
I'm not a toughie.
Yeah, I don't want to be a toughie.
No.
That was just such a lie,
Yeah.
Bringing that up, I wrote a book. It gets published in August. I'll send you an invitation.
Yeah.
It's called Born into the Lie of Crime.
Oh, yeah.
Not the life. It's got life, but it's got the F crossed out.
Yeah.
It's born into the lie of crime. And the funny part is you'll know most of the read, and it's got photos of Famo, photos that no one's ever seen, photos I took. Of Famishin and Lionel Rose, Paul Ferrari, all training in the gym at Ambrose when I was a little boy running around with a camera, taking photos of all my heroes,
Oh, mate, wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
It's, I love talking about Lionel. Just, I remember you talking about crime, but when I'm a great lover of the Indigenous people.
Yes,
I think they're the best race on earth. I really do. And talking about discipline, if they've got discipline, they'll exceed in whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
And I still remember that reception that Lionel got when he came back from beating Harada. God, that was amazing.
It was, wasn't it? It was like a president of the United States coming somewhere.
And just a little Aboriginal kid from Druin.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, wonderful.
And you know what? He could fight.
Oh.
He could fight, mate. We had Jim would go over and spar him over at Jack Rennie's. And geez, every bloke that sparred him would get out of the ring and say, oh, mate, geez, he hurts. He actually hurts, he hits hard.
I remember him and Jack came up, they had to do something, and they wanted to train on the Saturday, and Ray Horn had the gym in Botany Street, Redfern, and I had the keys there, and went over and let Jack and Lionel in, and he just done a little bit of skipping and shadow sparring, and then got on the floor to ceiling ball, and I've never in my life seen anyone. This was just a week before he fought Rocky Gadolari.
Yep.
And I thought to myself, my God, look at this bloke. He was just sharp. Yeah. Jack had him really, really up and ready.
You're right. Yeah, he was. Touched on the Indigenous people. I got adopted by the Aboriginals up at a place called Elko Island, which is the most remote Aboriginal community in Australia. And I go up there and I hunt for them, and I shoot buffalo, and we butcher the buffalo and we give them the food and that. And they are so kind to me, And another place I've been going to is a place called Pompawoi, which is far north Queensland, just under Weipa. And my nephew's up there, and we got our first AA meeting in the community.
Oh, lovely.
Ever.
Yeah.
And we had a bloke who was so nice. I went up there about 3 weeks ago. He's one of the local boys. They call me Yapipi, which just means uncle. Uncle, Yapipi, Yapipi. I went over and he said, how are you, brother? He said, mate, I've just finished my first ICO, Intensive Correctional Order. He's the first person ever in that community to finish their intentional corrective order. My nephew's been looking after him, been mentoring him. See, I believe that everyone needs a mentor. We all need to have a father figure.
Yeah, my own. Yeah.
You know? And whether it's younger or older, you know, the Aboriginals call, you know, I call guys younger than me uncle up there, you know, just to respect things.
Respect them, yeah.
And I think the Aboriginals, as you said, have got that down pat. They have that respect thing for the elders, you know, like in the communities, the respect is so deep.
Oh, mate, I've seen first class so much of them, and you know, it's just across here is just one family that they came from the Arambi mission at Cowra, and I've been very fortunate to know so much of the generation of them, and you go through them, and like Bobby wrote a play that played in London and New York.
Oh, yeah,
he wrote that in prison, and like, you know, you go on, and then young Nathan Merritt, he's on the wing with South Sydney, scoring tries that no one else could do.
Yeah, mate.
And his dad Tony, he's always looking after the young kids, and he's got a business with batteries, and mate just works his butt off. A wonderful, wonderful family, mate. You know.
I was thinking when I told a couple of mates that I was coming over to see you. One was Joey Williams.
Oh, yeah.
He said, I love John, give John my go. And the other was Jeffrey Morgan, another young fella.
Yeah.
They both just said, I'm seeing Jeff this afternoon.
Yeah, lovely kid.
And they're just honest, sincere, genuine, no bullshit, you know, just...
Mate, I remember the other day, a little girl, she come and train with us. Her mum was Melissa Carney, and they come from Dubbo. And her uncle, Bomber, used to come down and stay at... We only lived in the flats over there, as you said earlier, and he'd come down there, and Mum would give him the bed and put us on the floor on a mattress, like, you know, he got the thing. And young Joey Donovan from Smithtown, an amazing amateur boxer, should have turned pro, and my God, he would have been a good one. He could punch, and
My thing that I used to see a lot was, we remember Georgie Bracken and Alfie Sands and all those blokes, and it did it to me too. The drink got me. The drink got me. You know, I could have probably been a good little boxer. You know, I was going all right in the amateurs, and then I got on the drink, and then I had a few pro fights under a Bodgy name. And you know, the old man was like, "You're not fighting under our name," you know. Getting up there half drunk, you know. And Terry Lewis is like, you know, everyone used to say to me, you know, like, you just got to train. You got to train, son. You got to train. You got all the ability in the world, but you got no discipline. Because I was on the drink, you know. Sad.
It's everything, discipline. Just spoke to a couple of young Russian kids, and through the interpreter, the kid let me know that his biggest asset was discipline. You know, and he sort of won me over straight away. Couldn't understand a word they were saying, but he knew that was the word.
I teach it. I try to teach discipline. It's hard. You've got to give them something to understand. Discipline, to me, it's sort of like you're born with it or you're not, but you can master it. You can train it into somebody. But
anything's possible.
When I have kids and I'm trying to teach how to get into recovery, and they don't do what I'm telling them, I say, mate, all of a sudden you know more than I do. Oh, no, I don't. I say, well, you must, because you're not listening to me. So if you're not listening to me, you're either fucking stupid or you know more than I do.
Yeah.
And if you know more than I do, why don't you teach me? You know, because I'm pretty hard case. You imagine what I'm like as a counsellor. I'm like, this is the story.
Be,
mate. This disease kills people. You know, this is life and death. You know, and the fight game brought a lot of people, I believe, out of the street. You know, right through to Tyson. You know, brought a lot of people. Did you have much to do with Mike Tyson?
No. I met him a few times. And
when we were in Vegas, he was there. We fought. Remember, he fought that same card. Jeff fought the undercard. Yeah. I seen him then.
He, great. Mike was great. But through all the heavyweights, and my favourite was Sonny Liston. I don't think that anybody could have beat Sonny
in his prime.
If he was allowed to do what he could do.
He was owned, wasn't he? Didn't the mafia own him or something?
Very much so, mate.
Yeah, the mafia owned him.
Yeah, he had a rotten life, you know, and they tell me that when he came back from winning the title from Floyd Patterson, he, like everyone else, when they come to their hometown, that there was 1 million people there, not one. They reckon he cried.
It's sad, isn't it? Sad. Touch on a quick guy that I remember as a kid. I got sent up to him when I was only 12 years of age. Mickey Fernandez.
Oh yeah, Mick loved Mick loved your
our
father
family.
and your
I'd got into trouble with the coppers down in Melbourne, and the old man sent me up to Sydney to get me away, and he sent me to Redfern because Mick used to live on the corner of Abercrombie and Cleveland.
Yeah, that's right.
And both his sons were little rogues.
Yeah, they're both gone now.
Yeah, are they? Yeah.
Young Michael and Raymond.
The old man sent me up to get me out of trouble. Next thing, Michael, Raymond and I were climbing through factory roofs doing Frankenhenners. And Mick ended up by ringing the old man and said, "Send this bastard back, he's no good up here either." Yeah, it's funny. But Mavis was the mum, and she's still alive apparently.
Mavis is struggling now, but what a beautiful lady.
She was always a good woman. She always took lots of kids in.
Mick, he knew the fight game as good as anyone, and the fact that for so many years he done the tents and so.
That's why I knew him from the tents, because the old man and Uncle Ray and Kevin. Did you meet Dad's stepbrother, half brother, Kevin Lee? He fought the tents. Geez, he was a good fighter. He was a better fighter than the old man. Hard. But he ended up punch drunk.
Did he?
Yeah, he used to do the back somersault and all that bullshit, you know, and do all the whole showman thing. And he's the one who got the old man into the tents. Kevin Lee, lovely guy, never a criminal. Just a really, it was funny, there was just Ray and the old man with the Crims, and all the other brothers, Dad had 3 other older brothers, they were to Grandma's first marriage, were all straight aces. Straight ass, you know, like worked for the PMG and all that stuff, but he was a good fighter, Uncle Kev, but he was punch drunk. It's sad, you know.
There's plenty of that that one there.
In the showgrounds there was.
And stadiums didn't care. I remember one night there was about 2 or 3 quick knockouts, and one of the little Aboriginal guys was having a swig from a flag, and that Harry Miller said, "Hey, come on, go out you on," and he went in, and it broke my heart. It was a 4-rounder, and he absolutely slaughtered the bloke in 3, and I saw him go back and vomit after the 3rd round. And he went out and he had nothing left at all, and the other bloke, they stopped the fight, and I thought, God, you know, being that good, and that's a loss on his record, you know.
Yeah, mate,
But, as you said earlier, you had to fight to live sometimes.
That's what I remember. I just remember everyone at the, you know, I actually loved it because they used to throw the threepences and the pennies and the shillings into the middle of the canvas, in the middle of the tent. When I was a kid, they'd get me towel, I'd put on them, we'd put all the money on the towel, and we'd throw the towel at me, and the other kid would do whoever I was for. Usually one of my mates. We'd punch on in there in front of everybody, and all the punters would be half pissed and throw their money in. We'd go and we'd count the money, mate. It was like another world. It was actually, it was something I felt like I belonged. It was really funny. That was what I found with boxing. I actually felt like it was a family.
Well, in that era that you were talking about with Mick and your, like Melbourne and Sydney and everything like that, God, they were all close. That was a great matesmanship there. Very different to today, but like if someone had a good fighter, they all got behind them and went with it, like, you know.
And everyone would be running over to spar with them.
Yeah.
You didn't pay them to spar.
No.
Everyone ran over to spar with them. Everyone wanted to spar with the best.
That's what they done, mate. Yeah.
You want, mate? We was always going over to Jack Rennie's, or Ambrose was getting everybody. You know, man, didn't matter who was trained, they'd always be over there sparring. You know, when Johnny needed someone to spar, there'd be 6 blokes out of our gym over there. You know, just doing the rounds, doing the rounds.
A great time. Yeah. Great time for a great sport.
It was a great sport, and you know, I don't know if we'll ever see it again because it's become all about money. Yeah. It's all, you know, you got that Logan Paul and blokes getting $100 million for a fight. You know, I get a little bit embarrassed by it. It must break your heart.
But you know, it's very sad. It's all about bums on seats, and you're getting footballers that can't spell fight that are getting millions of dollars. Yeah. And some of the young kids are battling to get 1,000. And
train their whole life to get there. Yeah. All right, mate. Look, Johnny Lewis, I love you dearly. You've always been in my heart. You've always got a spot, you know that. I really appreciate you coming on The Truth About Addiction. Mate, I wanted you on because I want people to know that there's people out here in this world doing good stuff. And everyone knows Johnny Lewis, but not the way I know you.
No.
You know what I mean?
Well, one thing, mate, when you asked me to do this, in a way I'm talking to your dad, I'm talking to your uncles. You mentioned Mickey Fernandez, and it's a great Easter Sunday that we're sitting there, and you know, like people say, oh, how did you live in those little flats over there? Well, you know what? That was my backyard there, so we were pretty posh, mate. We had it all.
Pretty flash, big backyard.
The only thing them days was that we used to have to jump over the fence, and they had razor wire. Why, I don't know. Like today it's opened up, and everyone, look at the people that's here.
It's beautiful.
Just amongst themselves. But we were denied that unless we had some wire clippers or pulled a paling down to get in here, and we have the time of our lives. But mate, I'm honoured to be on it, and I'm very proud of you now. I know you had a few dark years, and it's a great thing for me to be here talking to you. As I said, I think it goes back to a long time ago, and to see you sitting here on top of the world, and beautiful young wife there, and mate, I suppose if we could all finish the book of life, the final chapters, the best.
Yes, mate.
We've had a good one. And,
thank you very much, Johnny Lewis.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time, brother. Thank you very much.
I solemnly swear that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.